Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Branden here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Adam, and he's selling his lead generation business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Adam, and how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Branden.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you on the call, and I'm excited to talk to you about this business that you've purchased. But before we get into the details of the business, let's give a general overview of what's included. So it is a lead generation business in the home niche created in April 2015. The average monthly revenue for the business is $2,514 and makes an average of $2,441 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 50357 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, what's included in the sale are 9 domains and all of their sites, content, and files, 3 additional domains used as 301 redirects, social media accounts for Flickr, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, SlideShare, Facebook, Instagram, and don't forget YouTube, and supplier contracts and relationships, buyer contacts and relationships, and 2 Google My Businesses, and 9 phone numbers for all the websites. So, Adam, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, happy to do that. It really started back in 2010. My day job, we tried to get an antiquated ERP system to show up online. We had a business where customers would come on a daily basis to purchase similar products, and we invested a bunch of money with a local developer to try and get our ERP system into an online format. Honestly, that was a big failure, but that was my first learning experience with online businesses. In 2015, I then was looking for a new investment. I already had rental properties and basically started looking at digital assets and looked at a whole variety of different businesses, and ended up finding an e-commerce dropshipping business that was selling the same products that I sold in my day job. And this business, unlike the ERP system failure that we had, was dropshipping. It was a static website, static information, not live moving inventories and pricing and everything else. So I purchased that off of a different marketplace, and it provided a lot of great learning experiences on how to run, I guess, an online business. The best way to learn was really to do that. So I actually purchased that off another marketplace. I used a loan to purchase it, and I figured if it failed, it's basically just a expensive car payment or a small mortgage payment to float that. But if it does well, then we're off and running. It did well. It took a while to learn it. So I still run that e-commerce business today, and we got onto Amazon and a couple other marketplaces as well. And then, so with the success in the e-commerce business, I brought that information back to my day job and told the company, hey, why are we spending this money on TV and radio ads and traditional media? We should be online. And ended up hiring someone to work for our company to get our business doing digital marketing on a daily basis. And we 100% cut out all the traditional media. And that provided a good learning experience. I wasn't building the websites or doing the Facebook, but we had someone in-house to do it. And it was, strategy every day that I was learning from e-commerce and working with her to do our WordPress site, and really laying the foundation that we didn't need to spend money going forward on traditional media. And then that brought me forward to this past year when I bought this package of lead gen websites from Empire Flippers.
Yeah, that's a really great story, and to hear your experience and kind of what drove you into this lead generation business model to begin with. And so why was it that you decided you'd like to go into this specific niche or acquire this business in this niche? Was there something that you had experience in the past with this, with the other projects that you said you had your hands tied up with?
Yep. So there's a variety of different reasons. So I actually bought this package of websites off Empire Flippers last summer. So August of 2020 is when we purchased these websites. it really was more of a financial play at that point. So, in 2020, interest rates went to basically nothing for a savings account. I realized we weren't making any money saving anything. And from listening, honestly, to you, Brandon, and to a bunch of the stuff on Empire Flippers, whether it was affiliate or AdSense sites or lead gen sites, the return on your money was 30-40% return for a fairly passive way to do that. So I was looking at, we were in e-commerce during 2020 when e-commerce was doing better and better. And I said, I need to put this money to work. And the lead gen sites really spoke to me, this package. I did look at a bunch of different sites you guys had for sale because of kind of the experience I had with our brick and mortar business. This lead generation is getting local services. So I understood the general concept, build a WordPress site, and over time you'll gain traffic and rankings in Google. So I understood that big picture concept. And again, I figured if we purchase a site and it totally sucks, I'll still make a 10-15% return on my money. But if it does well, then, we'll make 30-40%. And what I liked about this site specifically, the websites were 4 or 5 years old. So there's a good history in Google with that. And there's a lot of different ways I could go if I wanted to be more active in the business. So the previous owner really used these lead generation sites as an active business when they first started. So they actively were finding the end user that needed the lead. So they were able to make essentially a full commission on that, but it was active. They had to go seek out the lead. They had to find the lead. They had to pass the lead off. They had to track it. So it was a very active business. What the person I purchased it from did maybe a year and a half before the sale was turn it into a really passive business. There's, a partner out there that already finds the end, contracting business that needs a lead. In return for that, they take a percent of the commission. But what that does for us is there's basically no work. Someone through one of our websites hits the phone number, gets straight to this other company, and we split, a commission on the leads. So I like that. It could be an active business. It is a passive business. There was room to grow. It was 4 or 5 years old. So I was like, this would be a good business to purchase. And it has been. It's made money, for the last 8 or 9 months, however long we've had it.
Yeah, that's really interesting take to hear that you've found something that does really work on a passive aspect as far as the business model is concerned. Now, if things have been generating cash flow and things have been going passively for you, why are you deciding now is the time to exit from the business?
Yeah, so the e-commerce business has continued to grow, and it's grown by leaps and bounds the past 6 months. So I've been really focused on that. The other thing was I put the money to work this past summer that was sitting in a savings account. We didn't want to do any sort of contracting work in our own home a year ago or 9 months ago. We want to put that money back into our own home with some remodeling type of thing. So the sites have kind of done its job. We've made a return on our money instead of sitting in the bank account. And now we're looking to sell them to pull that money out to do other stuff with.
Yeah, I completely understand. That's usually a majority of the reasons why we have a lot of sellers come on and, decide to exit their businesses is their hands are tied up with other projects or, they have other business plans as well down the road. Now, was there anything that you learned while growing this lead generation business that you plan on applying to future or maybe even current projects you're currently working on?
The one thing is really in the saying the riches are in the niches, or if you look on like an Ahrefs, the keywords that the sites are focused on don't even really register as any real traffic. And that's, I think, where the success is that you have to learn it through doing and from watching these websites and seeing where the traffic sources come from. Again, if you looked at an Ahrefs or some other research tool, it's so minimal, it's never even going to register, but you can make really good money from that. So again, it's that other people don't see it because they're not doing it, and it's not going to register on one of those tools. So that's what I really learned from this business is that, in a lot of ways, it's a part feel and doing than it is from just sitting on a research tool all day and saying that you should use, focus on some keyword that has some ranking.
Yeah, or even just the amount of the volume that long tail keyword has. There might be a lot of volume there, but it's the end product or the end goal is not generating the cash flow as far as what you've discovered in something that has lower volume but higher intent or maybe even a higher conversion, right?
Yeah, I think, Branden, you said it right. Higher intent in the conversion. We can generate traffic all day, but if it doesn't convert, then it's, it's cool to say your website has a ton of traffic, but the goal of these things is to make money. So you're right. The intent is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so on the flip side of that, was there anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you the ROI that you were expecting?
I only tried 2 different things on the business. Honestly, it was completely passive. One was purchased an expired domain, which had a little bit of traffic, and I just plugged it onto one of the websites. That it really didn't create any help at all. So it was only a couple bucks, so it didn't really hurt at all. But I did learn from researching along the way that if I was going to use an expired domain in the future, I kind of have to revive it before I just plug it onto one of the websites. But, that was really the only thing. Again, it's really been a passive business. We haven't really done much of anything to it, just let the sites run. So yeah, that's the only thing I really tried that it had minimal to no effect.
Got it. Now, where would you say that a majority of your traffic comes from? Is most of it coming through organic search?
Yeah, they're WordPress sites, so it's organic search, and there's one or two Google My Businesses, so it's all from organic.
Okay. Are you doing anything else in terms of marketing, or maybe utilizing, some of the social media channels to gain more traffic to the websites themselves?
I've never actually ever logged into any social media channels for this company.
Okay. So something that a potential buyer could take full advantage of if they might have a core skill set within social media marketing, they could utilize these platforms that you've already established for these sites and grow that revenue stream further, correct?
I think they could do that. The other main thing that they could do is honestly someone with experience in backlinks and SEO. That would be kind of a core thing. We're getting revenue and traffic by not being, the number 1, 2, or 3 result on Google. Someone with that experience, they can push us, from the 4th through 10th ranking on Google up to the top 3. Every slot they move us up will generate more revenue. We see the number of leads that come through every month, and only a certain percentage convert. And my gut feeling is, again, if we're ranked number 7th and someone else hit on another website first, we may be the second or third call that they've made. So again, if we move up to the top 3 ranking, they're going to convert more that the traffic is already showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that skill set is also something that could benefit the business, considering the amount of websites that are included and then just the SEO potential that offers having these domains that have been around for, as you had said, 4 years or longer now.
But Branden, I'd say one of the things, the nice thing about having 9 different websites, what it allowed me to do was to, like the backlink experiment. I tried it on one of the websites generating less revenue. So 9 different websites at different stages allows you to test different things. And that was something that appealed to me when I purchased it. It wasn't that, one site, I try and tweak it and I tank the whole business. It's 9 different websites, diversified revenue. So you can tweak and play with one or the other. And if it doesn't work, turn it back. If it does work, then you can replicate that across the other websites.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great experiment you have as well. And as you had mentioned, having diversified revenue sources, that does give you that opportunity to try new things and test things out and mitigate that risk of, as you'd said, tanking the whole thing. Now, hypothetically speaking, Adam, so if you were to keep this website or this business itself, what are some of the ways that you would personally try and grow it?
Like I mentioned with the SEO, focus on a backlink strategy. That would be the most immediate, way to grow, I would say. The other thing is improve hosting. We kept costs super low. You can go to a better host or a faster host. And again, that would help improve the ranking. Those would be kind of the first things that I would focus on. Then the other way to do it is, again, it's 9 websites, 9 different locations. You can replicate it across the whole country. It's based in the US, but you can replicate that same process, keyword focus across literally the whole country. So that would be the next phase, was to duplicate the websites, more and more and more. So that was kind of a different process. But I think someone focused on SEO and backlinking would gain immediate return on that investment.
Yeah, it's a really good mention and awesome opportunity for a potential buyer to come in that might have that core skill set and really utilize that to push this business to its full potential. Now, can you describe maybe some of the typical work or daily tasks or weekly tasks that you're performing on maintaining this business at this time?
There is none. Honestly, it's, we get an email every morning at 8:02 a.m. saying how much money we made yesterday, and that's it. The only other thing would be like at the end of the month, if someone unlocks a business, you'll see a profit and loss sheet, just going through the, all the leads that converted and throwing them in a spreadsheet to see where we made our money. And the last thing is just making sure we're getting our payments are turned on for the different domains and services that we're paying for. So that's really it.
Okay. On that subject of just diversifying revenue, this was one question I did have that came up in my mind. There's 9 different websites. Would you say that they're evenly spread across the revenue generation for the entire business? Or would you say there's a few particular websites that are generating more than the others?
I'd have to pull it up specifically, but there's no one website that's a home run and outweighing the rest. It's not divided up 1/9 a piece. Some are definitely more than the others. But if you open the website, you'll also see some of them have been around longer than others. So it's kind of like they're all in different phases of the process of ranking on Google. So it is spread across the 9 websites. They all generate revenue, and there's no one like clear winner, in the bunch. So they're all spread out.
Okay, that's always really great to see that, you have that diversification, but it's also spread quite evenly, again, to fall back on what we said earlier on being able to test things and improve the business model in general. Now, do you feel that there's a particular skill set that a buyer should have prior to acquiring this business? Or do you feel that a majority of the workload or maybe even just the monitoring of the business can be learned during the transition period?
Yeah, you don't need any experience. So what I learned, honestly, when I bought my first website, the e-commerce site, I bought it from someone who had an active business. The thing's already running. So I cannot program a website. I don't know how to do WordPress. When I've needed help in the past, I go to Upwork or, fill onlinejobs.ph and get someone to help me. So there's no active ongoing things that need to happen. And that's why I liked buying a business. The reason why I bought that first business was someone already built it. I failed trying to build one. So by buying an active business, it had revenue coming in, it worked. So it's going to need tweaks. It's not going to need a wholesale experienced level. So that's where you can grab a VA, from time to time if you need somebody. But a newbie it's a great opportunity to learn as a new person.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's great that you've already kind of established the foundation. You've already built up the basic core of the business, and really someone that might have maybe a core skill set within another aspect of generating more traffic to the business could also take to their full potential and to full advantage as well, too. On the flip side of that, what do you feel are maybe some of the potential risks associated with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
The main thing is, Google algorithm change. So I was worried about that. What was it, December? There was that core update a few months back, and these websites survived that pretty well. The first 3 days of the Google core update, I was, on pins and needles, like what's going to happen the first time I really lived through a major change like that. But really what it did was just kind of, again, having 9 websites, it kind of shook things up. Some websites went up, some websites went down, but across the board, you could see every month I've had this business, we've done more revenue than the year before in that month. So, the Google Core update only assisted with it, but, the next Google Core update, obviously it's going to shift websites. That's the main downfall, I guess.
Yeah, and it's quite common for most content-based businesses that are dependent on Google's search algorithms. It's quite common across the board, actually, so completely understandable. Now, are you willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning any current or future projects within the next 2 years, you'll stay out of this specific niche?
Yes.
Perfect. And then how much support are you willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and Skype support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
The traditional is fine. I'm not going anywhere. They can always, I ended up Skyping the old owner, maybe 45, 60 days down the road with a quick question. So the typical is fine, but if you need something, just, send me a message.
Yeah, it's really great to hear. And I'm sure our potential buyers that are listening to this call can also see the value in that support you're willing to offer them to make sure that the business continues to succeed. Now, Adam, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large portion of the sales price up front and then smaller payments closing out the deal, say, over the course of a couple months after that?
No, I'm looking, we paid cash for it. So just looking to grab my cash back out of the business. So really not looking for an earnout.
Okay, completely understandable. You're right at the cusp as far as what we asked that question at the listing price. So completely understandable there. Now, just a few sideline questions for you, Adam. So was there any software or tools that really helped you at the start of running this business?
Again, not really. The business was up and running. I have Ahrefs and ProRank Tracker, I believe it is. I use them, but, again, when you unlock the business, you'll see there's really a very specific set of keywords that we're going after that's not changing. It's not like a content business where you're constantly trying to find new content. So I use those, but again, it's not really necessary for the business.
No, I completely understand. So final question for you then, Adam. So putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is worth buying?
Sure. So there's so many different angles. Honestly, when buying a passive business like this, if someone who has the SEO and the WordPress experience and affiliate type sites, they could do a great job in growing this. Again, there's a good foundation that's already generating revenue. Someone with no experience, you got 9 sites to play with. So they're all generating revenue. They all have some form of traffic. So if you didn't want to start it from scratch, And what I found out is when I've tried to build other sites in the past, when you hire someone, you're going to pay for it now, you're going to pay for it later. So by buying it now and it's already generating revenue, again, you can dabble and play with one of the sites, and it's not going to tank your overall revenue on that. So there's a bunch of different people that could purchase this and do different things with them.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, as you had mentioned, having 9 different sites that you can ultimately experiment and play with and kind of figure out how you can just push it and scale these businesses further, or, generate more revenue through your experimentation. So that's really great to see. And that pretty much wraps up this call, Adam. Was there anything else that you'd like to add that I might have missed during the interview?
No, I just think it's been a good business to have. The experience with Empire Flippers was great on the purchase end, and honestly, now being on the opposite side on the selling end, Branden, your team does a great job. So it's been a smooth experience, and we've enjoyed owning the sites for the months that we've had it. But it's definitely time to move on from it.
Yep. And I'm sure, our potential buyers and listeners can also see the value in, this business that you've been able to scale and manage over the past year, I would say, and also just kind of the future and what it holds as the websites continue to gain more and more data. And that pretty much wraps up the call. Really appreciate you jumping on and kind of giving us an update in your experience and how the business has been going. And I'm looking forward to seeing this listing getting sold for you here in the near future.
Thanks for your time, Branden. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And all right, everyone, thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 50357. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.